Let me ask you a question. When you think about the word limits, what do you think that means for your life? Do you think it means that there is no joy? Do you think that there's nothing beautiful about it? There never can be. I won't lie, there was a time I felt that too. When I looked at everything I couldn't do, I felt like, was there any place for me? After 30 years, I can understand that feeling. I've learned that whole thought process is wrong. There is beauty in all forms of life, including ours. I wouldn't wish fibro on anybody. However, do you consider how many millions of people have it and we survive it because we persevere? The fact is you can build something beautiful with fibro. You just got to plan it a little bit differently. One of the hardest parts about fibro, other than the symptoms, is that your life not imagine how you thought it was going to be. But that does not stop it from being beautiful. The reality is fibro changes more than your schedule. It changes your emotions, changes your physicality, and it changes how you imagine your future. We go into this life being so naive. We're taught from kids that we got to work, but life is so much fun. We've got so much to look forward to. And then something goes and steals that future. It's going to make us go down. There's just no way around it. But you know what? That hope is still there. We still have so much to look forward to in how we deal with things. There's going to be grief about what we thought we were going to be, but you never know when that life ends up being better. It's okay to miss who you thought you were going to be. We wouldn't be human if we didn't. And you don't have to pretend that redesigning your life is going to be easy. But sometimes the hardest thing, it's not just the pain or the fatigue. It's realizing how many parts of your life now need to be renegotiated. We are taught to expect a normal type of life where we go to work, we work our way up through the chain of command, and we just keep going. We earn more money. We're keeping up with the Joneses, and we're supposed to reach the ceiling of success. But when you think about what's normal life, I always come back to one part of that statement, and that is what is normal. Society gives us what's supposed to be normal, but it's really not. Everybody's normal is different. Everybody's dreams are different. And in some ways, I think this term normal is as good as, well, frankly, the word good. There are a few words I really hate in the English language: normal, good, real, true. Do you know why? Because those words are different from every single person. So people look at you and say, oh, you're not normal. Okay, I'm normal for me. They're used as judgment. Oh, you're not following the real path. You're not following the normal lifestyle. You're not following the real religion. Each and every single one of those words is used to downgrade someone else's being. It's the reason I hate them, because everybody has a different thought on what those mean. So what you need to do is start building your own life about what you think is real, what you think is normal. It's not going to fit everybody's normal. And trying to build your life on someone else's rules doesn't work. You've got your own set of rules. And some of them, yes, are built based on your physical condition. For you, normal may be quiet. It may be slower paced, maybe less stress. And that's how it should be. Part of the reason we end up with this condition is because we're constantly trying to keep up with everybody else's idea of normal. But I will tell you this, that does not mean that our condition is not real, or that there's a cure, that if we just change our mindset that it'll cure us. That's not the case. Fibro, once triggered, is there. Yeah, some may get it into remission. Operative word being some. Some may get lucky, but that's not the reality most fibro sufferers deal with. When I decided to leave the States and come to the UK, I had given up on trying to live what everybody else considered normal. Before then, I had barely left my house because I was avoiding people. I was letting the fibro as well as society take away my choices because I wasn't normal. And I finally decided to stop. And I started following dreams. I started giving myself permission to finally follow what I've always dreamed of doing. And that was getting my psychology degree. I had been trying to go back and get it for 30 years since I got out of the military. So almost 30 years. And I kept telling myself no. I was giving myself my own limits that, well, I can't take away from others. But I finally got to the point where I was like, why? Why am I so much less important than others? So I got my degree. And one of my other dreams was coming to the UK. And I've dreamed about that for years. It was one of my biggest regrets from when I was stationed in Germany is I never came over. And so I finally decided, hey, if I'm going to go after my degree, let's go whole hog and do the other thing too. Was it easy? No. But am I glad I did it? Oh, heck yeah. I have loved living over here. And I finally found a partner who could accept me for who I am. I've been so much better off. The fact is I'm not someone who's very social. I don't deal well with crowds. I don't deal with a lot of people or surrounding me. I'm the back to the wall type, the typical military, the typical PTSD sufferer. And let me tell you, going back to school was not only eye-opening, but it was rough because I had to be surrounded by so many people when I'd spent so many years in isolation. But it was worth it. It was worth pushing my limits in a way that still respected my body. And I redesigned my life in a way that respected that I may have these limitations, but they're not all of who I am. Some of the things that I did and the ways I tried to make my schoolwork pass is I did one thing at a time. I didn't do the multiple things where so many people they start their papers 2 or 3 weeks before they're due. I always planned mine out months ahead. I worked on one paper at a time. I worked on one time frame at a time. And I spent weeks on my papers. I put the work into it that I thought was necessary, which is not a typical college mindset. It's generally an older mindset, which I won't lie, I was 48 when I started. So I was a little older. But that's one of the ways to try and respect the limit your body's puts on you. I won't lie, I have had difficulties. I've had more flares, but I always thought the cost was worth it. Is it for everybody? No. My dreams are not going to be your dreams. What I find is worth the cost, you may not. That's okay. When it comes to doing these videos, I do my best to keep myself so I'm batching, or I do them one at a time. It just depends on how much I have to get done in a certain amount of time. Sometimes recording multiple episodes at once and then working on editing them in singular ways works. In other times, depending on how rough the particular episode's going to be, doing it one at a time is the only way to do it. And another possibility is choosing activities that give you more than they take away. Earlier last month, I did what we call a medieval fair. And because I've always been in love with Ren fairs, I love going to these types of historical situations. It's one of the reasons I want to go to the UK. I love history. I love learning about cultures. I love learning about people. I may not like being around people, but I love learning about them. And this gives you ways of finding joy despite your fibro. And in some ways, this also leads into how do you design your life around this illness by going after what gives you joy. Yeah, you've got to plan for it, but every time you plan something and it gives you joy just knowing you're getting closer to a goal, and then when you go and you achieve that goal, you find you tend to be happy, especially if you don't overdo it. Yeah, you may not be able to do stuff as fast as everybody else. So you take longer to do it. And you do that so you don't overdo it. There are a few things that limits are often described as restrictions. It's like your doctor says, no, you can't run, even though you want to. Those are the negative connotations. And that is honestly what most people think of as limitations. All they do is take things away from you. And yes, that is one definition of them until you look at it from a different direction. When you look at intentions and ways to work around them without completely taking away what you want to do, they can clarify how and when to do something rather than taking it away. And in those, you can actually find that there's a beauty in the adaptions, in finding ways to overcome these limitations in a way that suits you. And sometimes you actually find that the dreams that you had are really not what you want anymore. I mean, yeah, we always want the forbidden fruit, the stuff that we always thought we wanted. And then once we get it, we find out it's not as good as we thought it was. It's like I always dreamed of going parachuting. And looking back at it, yeah, I would still love to, but at the same time, when you realize how much damage that does to a body, maybe it was a good thing I never got to, especially considering how my body ended up now. And sometimes those limitations, while they seem like they're restrictions, they're just guidance in ways that are more conducive to your life and your needs. Limits actually started making me ask, is what I want to do actually worth what I'm going to pay for? Are they actually worth my energy? And many times the answer to that is no, they're not. And in some ways, as time has gone by, the definition of beautiful is to me just as different as the word strength. So many times when we're young, beautiful is like, that's a beautiful woman. Oh, that's such a beautiful painting. All these things that we see that fits the definition of society's definition of beautiful. But then as time goes by and as you grow older, that definition tends to change. To me now, beautiful has a much different definition. For me now, beautiful is watching how my dog greets her father, wanting her collar so bad that she tries to put it on herself for 10 minutes before going to her walk. Getting her dad trying to get the collar out of her mouth, which she then, of course, goes and grabs right back. That to me is beautiful. The love that she shows, or even the love that my cats show to me, that's beautiful. And you know something else that's beautiful? It's being able to follow your dreams, maybe in a different way, but it's still beautiful. Me going to see the castles I've dreamed of for so long, being able to touch the stone and feel the history of all the lives that have gone through these buildings. That's beautiful. Is that typical? No, but it's beautiful to me. And this ties back to my desire to be here in the UK because I find history beautiful. When I finally gave up the resentment of my illness, I've finally been able to follow some of those dreams in a way that fits my real life, not the imaginary one. So if that helps you, feel free to stick around. I know how isolating fibromyalgia can feel, so I have started a Discord where my hope is that people can come, talk, share experiences, and just feel less alone. I'll leave a link to that below. And if you'd rather reach out privately, I am including my email as well. These videos are written from my own personal experiences. They are not meant as a medical diagnosis. They're not meant as medical advice. I'm just trying to share ways that I've learned to deal with the illness from over 3 decades of experience.